So 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16 and 17 says, "All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work." Have you ever heard it said where the New Testament is all that's important? Where somebody has said, Old Testament doesn't matter, doesn't apply to my life, so it doesn't mean anything. For me, these verses here, they prove otherwise, among many other things. The first part is used for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. So the Old Testament has plenty of wisdom and so much guidance for us, and even though it was directed towards people of that time, I know that God knew that people in future would be reading it. And for example, I'm reading through Proverbs at the moment, King Solomon, and his ideas on wisdom, his ideas on the way people should do things to have a successful life. This is information that is invaluable. It is been so helpful for me to think about some of the ways that he perceives life and wisdom, and to just meditate on his words. That's just one example. And then the second part of these two verses, it says that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. So not only does it teach us, rebuke us, correct us, train us, it equips us for good works. Now the New Testament does that too, but to say that the Old Testament is not important is not needed when we have the New Testament, and that's just simply not true. The New Testament is significant in that it teaches us about the life of Jesus Christ and the importance of his sacrifice and the way he lived to give us guidance on how we should live, and to show us, to tell us how God's plan unfolded. But the Old Testament, that gives us context. It tells us the reason, it tells us all of God's plans in advance. It tells us what is going to happen in the New Testament. It proves that God had this eternal plan from the very beginning. Before the earth was created, he had this plan to send Jesus Christ. I think that's just amazing, to be able to see the context of the Old Testament, see God's character, to see how the earth was created, to see the rise and fall of man, to see the history of wars, the history of Israel's failures, to see the history of what it means to be human. There is so much important things to learn from the Old Testament, and that is something that I didn't necessarily see the value of as much until recently, when I have been going through the Old Testament a bit more. Because I was probably like a lot of people, when I first started reading through the Bible, it was the New Testament, because that was easier to understand. And I'm not saying that's not a good way to do it, because a lot of the time, starting from the New Testament and going backwards to the Old Testament, that's probably, for someone who hasn't read the Bible before, a good way to do it, to introduce them to the gospel. But there is just so much in the Old Testament that is important, and everything in there. Yes, it might not exactly provide answers to us in a particular situation. Yes, it might not be directed towards people of our age, and it may have a very specific purpose, but it's all important. So I would encourage you to see the Bible this way, as all scripture being God breathed and useful.